Thanks for joining us for Okaloosa Eye on Crime. I'm Michelle Nicholson.
And I'm Nicole Wagner. We have a lot packed into this month's show, including the search for a suspect in the strong arm robbery of a Fort Walton Beach senior citizen.
And now you can add to that the ongoing search for a missing Alabama teen from way back in 1997, and also a look at a destined hometown hero with a big-time connection to the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. So let's get started.
And investigators with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office are trying to identify and make contact with the individual in a home surveillance video to see if he can provide any information that may help in the death investigation of Misty Medrano. Now, 30-year-old Medrano was found deceased around 7 a.m. on the morning of April 14th in the waters of Rocky Bayou Bay near the area at the end of 11th Street there in Niceville. Now, investigators want to find out if the man in the video driving the light-colored pickup truck who may have been fishing or kayaking in that area on that evening saw or heard anything that could benefit the investigation. So take a look at this video, see if maybe you have any idea who that individual might be, and you can give us a call at 863-TIPS.
And also the Walton County Sheriff's Office is actively working with the Alabama Police Department, the Covington County District Attorney's Office, and the FBI on the whereabouts of Kimberly Raymer. Now, Kimberly was missing, or she went missing, that is, about 15 years ago. Last seen August 15th, 1997, around 10 p.m. at her father's home in Opp. Her mom currently lives in the local area, and Sheriff Atkinson in Walton County is trying to help the family find out what happened to their daughter. At the time of Kimberly's disappearance, there were no signs of a struggle, and all of her personal belongings were intact. Her family believes that she probably knew her abductor, and that Kimberly is a white female with brown hair, brown eyes, and weighs 130 pounds. If anyone has information on her whereabouts, you're asked to contact Captain Donald Clark with the Walton County Sheriff's Office at 892-8111, or of course Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
And next up, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is looking for two men who robbed the Dollar General there on West Highway 98 in Mary Esther around 9:30 on May 27th. Now, two employees and a shopper were inside when they say two black male suspects instructed one of the employees to open the store safe and give them the cash. Now, all three of the individuals, the employees and the shopper, were tied up but were able to get free after the pair of robbers left the store. Now, one of the witnesses said she heard a loud diesel-type engine outside the store at the time that the suspects fled, but that was a very, very scary situation. So anybody that has any information about that, give us a call.
Next up, we move back to Walton County again, where the Sheriff's Office needs the public's help, that is, identifying two suspects who broke into a car, took a handbag, and then used the victim's credit card at locations including Walmart in San Rosa Beach. The Sheriff's Office went out to a site on Sandestin June 30th, and the victim said she had been notified by her credit card company that there was some suspicious activity on her card. She checked her car and found out that her purse was missing. She immediately canceled that credit card, but the Sheriff's Office was called to Walmart in San Rosa Beach that same day, and a white male and white female suspect attempted to pay for their merchandise using a credit card which was declined 3 times, believed to be this victim's credit card. They left the store with their merchandise in hand without paying, and they left in a gold or tan sedan.
And next up, the Sheriff's Office is investigating a strong arm robbery targeting a senior citizen. Now, this took place at 708 Shady Lane Drive in Fort Walton Beach back on the night of May 3rd. 81-year-old victim said he was out collecting rent about 10:30 on that Thursday evening at a Shady Lane apartment complex when two men pushed him to the ground and grabbed his wallet. Now, he was not seriously injured, and they did get away with some cash, credit cards, and other personal identification. He described the suspects as two black males being about the same size, about 5'9" to 6 foot tall, but said he wasn't sure if they were what they were wearing or which way they took off after he was robbed, but that was also another scary situation. Anybody with information, give us a call, 863-TIPS.
Now, we don't have any photos on this next one, but this is a burglary that took place at the Habitat for Humanity in Freeport over in Walton County, where someone came in and took about $7,500 worth of computer equipment and tools from that address. This was back on the morning of June 18th, and that was over in Freeport. Also asking anybody with information about who may have taken those tools and that computer equipment to call Crime Stoppers at 863-TIPS. Of course, we have the texting and the online, emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com.
That's right, lots of ways to get a hold of us. And the Fort Walton Beach Police Department is still trying to identify a robbery suspect. Back on Saturday, March 23rd at about 4 p.m., a dark-skinned black male wearing a black hoodie, white t-shirt, and gray pants entered the Six Brothers convenience store over on Robinwood Drive in Fort Walton Beach, brandishing a handgun, and demanded the clerk open the register. Now, after opening the register, the suspect gave the clerk a shopping bag, told him to put the money in the bag. After the clerk clerk gave him some cash. He took the bag and left the store running north, and we do have a couple of photos, not the greatest of clarity, but anybody who thinks they might recognize that figure, give us a call.
Next up, I want to talk about a crime that was solved due to a tip from someone out there. Thank you to all the people that support Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers, specifically to this tipster, because the Okaloosa County Multi-Agency Drug Task Force concluded a joint investigation with the DEA, the federal folks, in connection to a drug trafficking ring that was operating here in Northwest Florida. We've got the pictures of 5 of the 7 initial individuals who've been arrested thanks to that Crime Stoppers tip. And that came back in January of 2013, where they told Crime Stoppers that a head nurse at a Fort Walton Beach doctor's office was involved with trafficking prescription drugs. And that investigation led suspects to Wendy Cagle. She was found to be calling in multiple unauthorized prescriptions to different pharmacies around the area for controlled substances. These were for people that she knew personally and who were not under medical care, of course. And investigators say the trafficking amounts of hydrocodone and Xanax were called in on multiple occasions, and in some cases the drugs were actually used as a way to pay the co-conspirators. There are, at this time the date of the taping today, additional arrests pending, so we could have more on that on the next show.
And we want to thank that tipster as well as all of our tipsters that call in. Just remember, even if you think it might be a very insignificant amount of information, you never know if that's what leads investigators to bust a case wide open. So,
and you can also, obviously, of course, get a cash reward of up to
Right.
$1,000, so that's something to consider as well.
That's right. And up next, one of Sheriff Larry Ashley's primary goals when he was first elected was to implement a more structured and rigorous mandatory physical fitness program for all the deputies.
That's right. This focus on fitness, if you want to call it that, is already paying off for many of his deputies, both personally and professionally. School Resource Officer Corporal Eric Denny is taking his mandatory physical abilities test at the OCSO course. To pass, he has to maneuver through a 16-station course that mimics the same type of obstacles a deputy might confront on the streets.
We've had this mandatory testing effective January 1st of 2012. We had a time frame of January 1st, 2011, where our sworn members were provided a 1-year time frame where they attended a 16-hour mandatory session of health and fitness training from a certified personal instructor, classroom instruction. Once they received that training, they were given an opportunity to come out on the PAC course once it was completed and familiarize themselves with the course and what's going to be expected of them. The majority of the people we had came out, understood what the course was all about, and by the time the mandated January 1st, 2012 deadline came, we had all of our sworn deputies perform the physical abilities test.
The minimum time to perform the test, which must be done twice a year, is 8 minutes 30 seconds.
We just started our second year of testing, and we've already seen improvements from the previous year's testing times. Average test times for all groups across the board have improved by almost 6 seconds for passing times.
38-year-old Deputy Kenny Driscoll said he in fact enjoyed the whole concept of a mandatory physical abilities test. He'd started putting on weight about 10 years ago after getting out of the military, and his PAT time had gotten worse the second go-round, not better. But instead of getting discouraged, all that simply fueled his motivation.
I realized that I needed to do something because of the job that I do. I have to be at least physically fit to do it. If not, then I can't do my job to the best of my ability.
So Deputy Driscoll started changing his diet, then working out in a serious fashion. This past April, when he ran this course, he dropped 1 minute and 24 seconds off his previous time, and he had dropped 61 pounds off his frame.
It's basically across the board. I work out. I started out working out on the elliptical at the gym over at Northwest Florida State College until I felt my cardio was up to par. And then I started in April running, and now I'm trying to average about a 5K every other day.
And you said you've seen a big difference in how your uniform fits you.
Oh, I've had to tighten my gun belt up this will be the 5th time. So I've had to tighten up my gun belt about 5 times now, and I have to get new uniforms because my wife tells me I look like I'm wearing a duffel bag because it's just gotten so baggy.
Deputy Driscoll says he used to get winded just going upstairs, but now he runs 5Ks. Although no formal surveys have been done, other deputies are enjoying similar success.
I can't give you exact figures, but I know there have been several sworn members of the agency who've completely changed their lifestyle, and they understand that being physically fit is not only good for the job, but it's good for themselves as far as staying fit and healthy. It's impacted our work comp claims, our injuries have been lowered.
The long-term payoffs are also expected to include lower health care costs, but already deputies are getting a boost in confidence and in their physical capabilities to respond to any situation.
When they get out in the field, you know, they understand that, you know, they've prepared themselves for this moment. They're better, I say better prepared to react to situations out in the field and, you know, crawl through that window, climb that ladder, run up those stairs. All those things that we have on the obstacle course better prepares those sworn officers out in the field.
Oh, it benefits everybody. When you have someone working in a sheriff's office that is physically fit and aware, you're more aware of your surroundings, you're more helpful to the community. So sheriff instilling this PAT test and encouraging deputies to get in shape is only benefiting the community as well as that person. So it's everyone wins.
Now, the person in charge of giving out uniforms to the deputies says she's already seen the impact of the physical fitness program because a lot of deputies have been coming and exchanging their bigger uniforms for smaller ones. That's not real scientific, but that's still a clue.
That's great. And now let's profile some suspects wanted by local law enforcement agencies. And remember, if you can help locate any of these individuals, you could be eligible for a cash reward of up to $1,000. And I do want to remind folks, these are all wanted as of today's taping date, which is July 12th, 2013.
And also remember, we keep it simple. You can call us at 863-TIPS. You can go online at emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com. And of course, you can text us as well. First up, William Christopher Smith. He is wanted for failing to register as a sexual offender. Smith was last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
New to the show is 18-year-old Dana Marie Stell. I'm assuming that's how you say that. She's wanted for battery and giving law enforcement a false name, last known to live on Duval Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Still looking, however, for Brendan Tyler Spears. Call us if you know where to locate him. He is wanted for violating probation on charges of burglary and grand theft of a firearm. Spears was last known to live in the Niceville area.
49-year-old Robert Clay Oglesby, who's wanted for burglary and criminal mischief, last known to live in Baker.
52-year-old Buck Rogers, wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office on numerous fraud charges.
Next up is Angela Diane Fitzgerald. She's 35 years old, and she's wanted for grand theft, uttering a forged instrument, and forging a bank check.
Also looking for Charles Keith Wallace, wanted for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription.
Call 863-TIPS if you know where 31-year-old Brittany Jo Wing is. She's wanted for violation of probation, for trafficking in stolen property, providing false information to pawnbroker, and grand theft.
And we'd also like your help tracking down Christopher Allen Chance. Chance is wanted for fraud, burglary, and dealing in stolen property. He was last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
Still looking for William Shane Allen, who is wanted for burglary, criminal mischief, and theft.
However, here's one that we can go ahead and cross off the list because Madrico Jarrell Campbell has been located since our last show.
But we're still looking for Casey Jackson Capps, who's 23 years old, and he's wanted for 3 counts of larceny, last known to live on Memorial Parkway over in Fort Walton Beach.
Next on the list is Brandon Keyshawn Armstrong. Armstrong's wanted for felony VOP for manufacturing and delivering cocaine with intent to sell, possession of cocaine, and possession of marijuana along with that. He was last known to reside over on Greendale Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
And the Crestview Police Department is still trying to locate Mackenzie Perez Harris, who's also known as Polo. He is the suspect in one of their grand theft investigations.
And the last person on this first list is Geronimo Balon. He's a Hispanic male who's wanting for failing to show up on an original charge of felony DUI and driving with a license while suspended or revoked. Balon was last known to live over in Walton County. And next up, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office accepted its first reaccreditation award recently. That was from the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation. The CFA award certifies that the OCSO maintains the highest standards of professionalism. It follows a rigorous review process that took place in May by a team of assessors. They called the OCSO a top-notch agency and said the quality of law enforcement provided is exceptional. In other law enforcement news, when it comes to naming hometown heroes, the recent recognition of OCSO Posse Captain Terry Watkins comes as no surprise to anyone who knows him.
Please pause with me for a moment of silence as we give honor to those soldiers who have gone before us and served our nation well.
Harbor Walk Village hosts a Hometown Hero Red, White, and Blue event. It focuses on honoring locals who've made major contributions to their community.
I don't know of any man or person more deserving of our recognition as a hero than Terry Watkins.
Sheriff Larry Ashley calls Watkins one of the finest people he knows, a role model for children, grandchildren, and everyone around him.
Terry has been in the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office posse for 35 years. He started in 1977. I think I was 11 at the time. He currently supervises about 40 other volunteers who provide law enforcement support for the Sheriff's Office, and he manages, in the last year alone, 200 posse details, including festivals, runs, special events, holiday patrols, crime scene protection, and many other details. Under this posse, it has performed 16,622 volunteer hours just last year, in 2012. We thank him for being our humble servant, and I present to you Captain Terry Watkins as our hometown hero.
The word volunteer keeps coming up, and I couldn't do, or I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if it wasn't for all the volunteers that I work with and serve with.
In fact, many of his posse counterparts were on hand to join in honoring Captain Watkins, along with family, friends, and OCSO colleagues. In addition to his many years of volunteer law enforcement service, Captain Watkins has also served in the U.S. Army, with the Destin Fire Department, and as an EMT. He's an originating member of the Destin Search and Recovery Dive Team, a former president of the Destin Chamber Board of Directors, and a member of the Florida Disaster Medical Assistance Team. He's a critical incident stress debriefer for first responders, as well as a former recipient of Destin's Ross Marler Citizenship Award, the OCSO Life Saving Award, and a former Posse Member of the Year.
He's led several groups of people, as he mentioned, the Methodist Church, different outreach efforts that they've had, and he's been the leader from behalf of the Sheriff's Department, so I knew he had a humble heart and that of a servant. But what I found out today, he also is an expert marksman. He hit 40 out of 40 today at the gun range, which to me is pretty darn good. That's pretty accurate.
Next up is our second list of fugitives. Now remember, getting in touch with Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is simple. You can call us at 863-TIPS. You can visit our website at emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com. And we also have the text tipping ability. And you never have to give your name or appear in court. That's one of the nice things. So let's go right to it. First up is Everett Hairston. He's a 30-year-old black male wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft auto.
And Walton County is also looking for Emmanuel Uribe Martinez, 29 years old, wanted for violating probation on charges of resisting an officer with violence, as well as loitering and prowling.
Another one wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office is Eric R. Arsenault, who's 47 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft auto.
Jerome Williams is wanted by Walton County as well. Williams is wanted for violating probation on charges of grand theft, giving a false name to law enforcement, and theft.
And next up is James Andrew Dubovy, 24 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of burglary, theft, and resisting arrest without violence, last known to live in Valparaiso.
49-year-old Stephen Vance Cartwright is wanted by the Walton County SO for violating probation on a charge of grand theft.
30-year-old Damian Matthew Andrews, who's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of possession of counterfeit bills, last known to live in Defuniak Springs.
29-year-old Brad Rodney Doty, wanted for violating probation on charges of conspiracy to sell narcotics, possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia. He was last known to live in Niceville, so call us if you know where to find Doty.
Jason Michael Oliver, who's 26 years old, he's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of grand theft and uttering a forged check.
And Stephen George Bostick's still on our list. He's 24 years old and he is wanted for fraud.
And some good news, Harley William Johnson can be taken off the list. He has been located since our last show.
Not so for Seth Berger. I think he's been on for a while. 31 years old, wanted for failing to appear for neglect of a child without great harm. And Berger was last known to live in Mary Esther.
And we're still looking for Melanie Renee Phillips, who's 47 years old. She's wanted for sale of cocaine, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
John Henry Bonner makes the list because he's wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for charges of grand theft and violation of the Pawnbrokers Act.
Familiar face to the show, Daniel Wesley Arthur, who's wanted for felony neglect of an elderly person or disabled adult, possession of controlled substance by misrepresentation, fraud, forgery or deception, and theft. Pretty long list there. He was last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And we don't know if Andrew Aikman's still in the local area. He was last known to live in Pensacola, but he is wanted for larceny.
Still looking for Alexander Wise, who's 44 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of grand theft and misdemeanor fraud, last known to live on McFarland Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
And this next person, also known to last live in Fort Walton Beach, is 43-year-old Cassius Conan Weathersby. He's wanted for uttering a forged instrument.
Still looking for 25-year-old Samuel Edward Thomas III. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of providing false information to pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft, last known to live in Shalimar.
And give us a call, maybe earn a cash reward if you know how to find James Michael Stange. He's still wanted for felony battery.
Next up is Stephen Smelly, who's 35 years old. He's wanted for dealing in stolen property.
And last on our list is 25-year-old Lonzell Knox. He's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office on a charge of aggravated battery.
Each summer, Okaloosa County School Resource Officers take a full week to spend quality time with middle school students during the Sheriff's Office Youth Week. Now, the students get a chance to see K-9 and Special Response Team demonstrations. They learn what it takes to process a crime scene, and they have fun while they're learning.
They certainly do. You know, our chaplain, Larry Carter, went out and captured some of the activities from this summer's Youth Week, and we want to share those with you. But that's going to be the last word for this edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
Thanks for joining us and for supporting Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
We'll see you next time.